All right, we need to talk, because we are in the middle of a seismic shift in the global financial system that just happened. And in this explainer, we're going to break down an event that for 50 years has been completely unthinkable, and one that could change, well, pretty much everything about the economy as we know it.
So yesterday, December 30th, a 50-year global order quietly ended. It didn't happen with a bang, not with some big announcement or a market crash. No, it happened with something much quieter, a leaked diplomatic cable.
You see, for the last half-century, the entire world has been running on a very simple but incredibly powerful deal. The U.S. gave Saudi Arabia military protection, guns, planes, you name it, and in return, the Saudis made sure that every single barrel of oil, the literal lifeblood of the global economy, was bought and sold only in U.S. dollars. This was the petrodollar system, and it's what made America an undisputed economic superpower.
And as of tomorrow, January 1st, that deal is dead. It's over. It has not been renewed, it's finished. And the shockwaves from this, they are just getting started.
So what on earth does this actually mean for all of us? Let's dive into our first section here and really understand how the very foundation of the global economy for the last 50 years has just crumbled. Let's just walk through this timeline really quick. So 1974, the deal is born, and this forced every single country that needed oil, which, let's be honest, was everyone, to first go out and buy US dollars. This created a state of infinite artificial demand for American currency, which basically let the US print money with way fewer consequences. But then, in late 2025, the US slapped on these green energy tariffs, and for a lot of people, that was the final straw. And boom, here we are. The pact is expired. A new era begins tomorrow.
You see, the old world order, that was a unipolar world, right? Built on this global demand for the US dollar. The new order, it's multipolar. The BRICS Plus alliance, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and now you can add Saudi Arabia to that list. They're stepping up. Oil can now be sold in other currencies like the Chinese yuan, or even in assets like gold and Bitcoin. The dollar's absolute monopoly on the world's most important commodity is over.
And this shift isn't just a little tremor. No, it's creating what you can only describe as a financial earthquake. So let's talk about how these huge geopolitical changes are about to slam into our economies back home. This really is the central multi-trillion-dollar question we have to face. For 50 years, countries all over the world had to hold massive reserves of US dollars just to buy oil. Now they don't need them. So what do you do with trillions of dollars you don't need anymore? You sell them. And where do they all go? They come flooding right back here, to the US economy. And the immediate consequence of that flood is a potential superinflation event. You have to understand, without the petrodollar deal, the dollar's value is no longer propped up by the entire world needing it for oil. It's just paper. So when you have a massive new supply of dollars pouring back into the country, all chasing the same amount of goods and services, it could absolutely torch the value of our saving. All right, enough of the high-level theory. This brings us to the part that actually matters to you. Let's translate this giant geopolitical chess game into what it's going to mean for your bank account in the coming year. As the dollar gets weaker on the world stage, its purchasing power right here at home gets weaker too. So everything we import, your smartphone, your TV, your clothes, you name it, is projected to get 20 to 30% more expensive, and fast. They call it import inflation, and it's coming.
So how is the government going to react? Well, to defend the currency and to fight that inflation, the Federal Reserve is going to be forced to do one thing: hike interest rates, and hike them dramatically. We could be looking at rates of 8, maybe even 9%. For anyone with a mortgage, a car loan, or anyone just hoping to buy a house, that kind of rate hike is absolutely devastating. It could completely crush the housing market.
Okay, that was the problem. That's the heavy part. Now let's pivot to the solution. Because this is not about panicking, it's about being prepared. Let's look at 3 practical ways you can start building a financial shield against what's coming. I'm going to give you 3 rapid-fire strategies. And these aren't just my ideas. This is based on what central banks and the biggest financial players on Earth are already doing to protect themselves. Number 1, own hard assets. Number 2, get foreign currency exposure. And number 3, hold assets that can reprice themselves quickly. Let's break them down.
First up, own hard assets. This means real, tangible things that a government can't just create out of thin air. The classic example is precious metals, like gold. I mean, it is no coincidence that central banks bought a record-breaking 800 tons of gold in the last quarter of 2025. They were getting ready. It is the classic hedge against a currency that's losing its value.
Second, think about getting some foreign currency exposure.
Look, it's simple logic. If the dollar is getting weaker, it makes sense to hold some of your wealth in currencies that are getting stronger, or at least staying stable. With the rise of the BRICS Plus alliance, you're seeing currencies from that bloc, like the Chinese yuan, which is now being used to buy oil, become major players.
And finally, number 3, hold assets that can reprice quickly. Your cash in the bank, a fixed-rate bond, those get destroyed by inflation because their value is fixed. But assets like real estate, where you can adjust rents upwards, or even better, ownership in a solid business that can raise its prices to match rising costs, those tend to keep pace with inflation and they protect your purchasing power.
So there it is. This isn't some far-off hypothetical scenario anymore. This is happening right now. The 50-year-old system that basically powered the global economy is gone. A new, far more uncertain era has already begun. And really, the only question left is the one right there on your screen. Are you prepared for it?